I'm going to correct a lie you've been told for years. Charisma is something you're born with. Some people are just naturally social, some aren't. She's so comfortable talking because that's just who she is. That's completely wrong. Charisma isn't a talent, it's a machine. And like any machine, it can be taken apart, studied, rebuilt. The difference between the person nobody notices when they walk into a room and the person who shifts the entire energy of the room. It's not temperament. It's not genetics. Both of them were born with the same brain. The only difference between them is a background program, written in childhood, running quietly in the present without either of them realizing it. Today, I'm opening up that program for you. And by the end of this video, you'll see that social fear was never about your character. It's a code your brain wrote back when you were a child. Fair warning, this isn't a comforting video. It's a video that hands you responsibility. Because your ability to speak up is a muscle, and muscles only grow through use. That racing heartbeat in social situations, the shaking, the feeling of, if I say something, I'll humiliate myself. None of that is a lack of confidence. It happens because your amygdala, your brain's threat detection center, reads a social situation the exact same way. It reads physical danger. Why? Because to your brain, evolutionarily speaking, being cast out of the group is the same as dying. 10,000 years ago, getting kicked out of the tribe genuinely meant death. That same machine is still running today at full strength. The only thing that's changed is where it's running. Not a tribe anymore, but a meeting room or a social gathering. There's something else too. If you were constantly criticized growing up, if people mocked you, if you kept hearing, "Don't talk, just sit down," your brain coded its dopamine reward system. Accordingly, speaking equals risk. Silence equals safety. There's also serotonin in this system, if the environment you grew up in was unstable. The system that regulates your sense of security learned to stay on high alert permanently. So that tension you feel today, in a friend group or in a formal setting, that's not a passive personality. That's a code you built years ago without realizing it, still running today. Here's what I want to say about this. Don't ever feel guilty for learning this. Learning it should set you free. Being aware beats living blindly every time. Because once software is noticed, it can be updated. Think of your life as a theater. You have two stages. The inner stage, inside your head, where no one sees you rehearse, where you edit every sentence 10 times, where you think 100 times before you say a single word. The outer stage, the real world, the actual person in front of you, the real moment, the conversation you can't take back. 90% of people with social anxiety live their entire lives on the inner stage. It feels safe there because there's no judgment, no humiliation, no danger, but nothing happens there either. The person who actually communicates well is the one who cuts down the rehearsals on the inner stage and finds the courage to walk out onto the outer one. Your job today is to shorten the distance between those two stages. And here's something worth knowing, my friend. Good communication was never about building perfect, flawless sentences. It's the strength to step onto the outer stage. Now I'm going to do something almost nobody does. I'm going to tell you my own story, honestly, without any shame. My mother was a very dominant woman. She liked being in control. As a child, she always wanted me to be well-behaved, and to her, well-behaved meant a child who barely spoke, if at all. And that's not even counting the times I was told to be quiet or scolded outright. Years passed. And one day, I won first place in a school art competition. When the principal called me up on stage, all I managed to get out in a shaking voice was "thank you." That night, I went home and cried for hours, but that child is in the past now. Today, I actively communicate in every room I walk into, and I genuinely enjoy it. What I'm about to tell you isn't made up either. It's a real pattern, observed in thousands of people, and I'm going to tell it to you like a story. You'll find yourself somewhere in it. Stage 1, the silence. Stage picture. Someone, in meetings, in friend groups, at the dinner table, always sitting in the same corner. Great ideas in their head, but they can't get them out. Why? Because their brain keeps whispering, if you speak, you'll be criticized. Stay quiet. Stay safe. This person lived by that thought for years, and it worked, because they were never criticized. But it came at a cost. They were never noticed either. You know what happened to this person? One day, in a moment when they had nothing left to lose, maybe a job loss, maybe a breakup, they took a small risk. For the first time in a group, they said what they actually thought. Stage 2, the breaking point. Their heart nearly leapt out of their chest. Their voice shook. Their palms sweated, but they said it, and the world didn't end. And right here, something neurologically significant happens. The brain tested the equation, speaking equals danger, for the first time. And the result wasn't a disaster. That's a small but critical correction for the dopamine system. The brain starts relearning. Maybe it wasn't always safe before, but it's a little safer now. You know what happened next? This person couldn't fully go back to that inner stage, that old silence, ever again. Because once you've stepped onto the outer stage, you've seen exactly how suffocating that inner one really was. Stage 3, repetition and resistance. But the process wasn't easy from here. If anything, it got harder. Because after that first act of courage, the old software fought back, louder this time. That was pure luck. Don't do it again. This is the most critical stage of growth, and the one most people abandon. Most people quit right here. 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and they retreat to the old code, telling themselves, guess this is just who I am. But here's what you need to understand. Motivation and discipline are 2 different things. Some days, you won't have both at the same time. Real transformation doesn't run on motivation alone. You won't have motivation every single day. That's exactly where discipline steps in. If you take action, even on the days you have zero motivation, that's when you know you've actually built discipline. Stage 4, the new identity over the months. As this person keeps stepping onto the outer stage again and again, they notice something. They rehearse less before speaking now, because the brain automates any action that gets repeated enough. Speaking is no longer a performance, it's become a reflex. That's what real communication actually is, not talent, the neurological result of repeated courage. Could the person in this story be you? The answer will show up in what you do the moment this video ends. Now, get up, stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye and ask, what sentence didn't I say today? Which sentence almost came out of my mouth and then went back down? Think of one sentence. Doesn't matter if it's big or small. Don't leave it vague. One specific sentence, one specific person, one specific moment. Now say that sentence out loud to yourself in the mirror. Exactly the way you'd say it in that real moment. This might feel ridiculous, but something very real is happening neurologically. Your vocal cords are producing that sentence for the first time. Your brain is gathering its first piece of evidence that this sentence is sayable. Tomorrow, when you say it in real life, it won't be a brand new act anymore. It'll be a repetition. Here's the statistical difference between the person who draws attention when they walk into a room and the person who leaves without anyone noticing. Almost everyone who communicates effectively was once someone with social fear. There's a small 1% who were simply born comfortable. But the overwhelming majority of people who communicate well are people who fought their way out of that other 99% and consciously transformed themselves. So the question you need to ask yourself isn't, was I born social? The real question is, will I be in the 1% who find the courage to step onto the outer stage? Or will I spend my life in the 99%, endlessly rehearsing on the inner one? That choice gets made all over again, every single day, with every single chance to speak. Here's the good news. Your brain has a property called neuroplasticity. Your nervous system isn't fixed. It reshapes itself through repetition. Every single time you speak despite the fear, you send a small, "that was safe" signal to your dopamine system. After 100 repetitions, 200, 500, that signal gets stronger, and your amygdala's alarm threshold rises. You genuinely become less afraid. Not through wishful thinking, biologically, but there's only one way there: repetition. Reading a book won't rewire this circuit. Watching a video won't either. It changes through concrete action, by stepping onto the outer stage over and over. Let me be blunt. Speaking up is going to feel uncomfortable for you for a while longer. But here's what you get to choose: which discomfort you live with. The brief, momentary discomfort of speaking, or the permanent regret of years of unsaid sentences, buried ideas, and missed opportunities. Remember, the regret of things you did is never as bad as the regret of things you never did. Outside factors: how the other person reacts, how crowded the room is, that feeling of, it's not the right time. None of that makes this choice for you. This is entirely about you facing your own biological reality. When you start stepping onto that outer stage, some people are going to find it strange. Some will even feel uncomfortable about it. The people who've only ever known you as quiet, always in the background, are going to feel a strange tension. The moment they notice you've changed, that's normal, because some of your current relationships were built around the old system. Finding your new voice disrupts that system. The people around you were comfortable with your old silence. Your new voice is going to unsettle them. Be ready for that. It's not a mistake. It's your victory. Today, you face the hero in the mirror. Now it's the outer stage's turn. You don't need therapy for this. You don't need another video to watch. There's exactly one thing you need: to take responsibility. 3 concrete steps. Before today ends, make eye contact with a complete stranger and say at least one sentence. It can be asking for directions. It can be a simple question. What you ask doesn't matter. What matters is the act of stepping onto the outer stage. Take the sentence you just said in front of the mirror and say it to the real person it was meant for. within the next 24 hours. Tomorrow morning, write down on paper which of today's conversations you stayed stuck on the inner stage for. That list becomes your progress map. This video ends here, but your voice starts being rebuilt. The moment you take these 3 steps, fear was old code, written to keep you silent. Today, you're the one rewriting it. A new video every week to help you become the best version of yourself. Take care of yourself.